When your music sounds good without feeling anything hanging from your ears, that's when there's been innovation. And Huawei, at this point, it's worth noting that they were the first major brand to improve and popularize earbuds with such a strange yet wonderful design in terms of their form factor. The first version was released in 2023, but they have kept improving since then. And with this slight update to the previous Huawei FreeClip 2, which you can also find the review for on the channel, Huawei has taken the world's most comfortable wireless audio even further. They're called Huawei FreeClip 2S, and here I'm going to break down point by point what I liked most and least about these innovative wireless earbuds. Even so, I'll tell you right now that if comfort is essential for you in a pair of earbuds, pay attention to these FreeClip 2S, because after testing them for a few weeks, they're the closest thing to invisible earbuds. Almost ethereal. More than once I got into the shower with these FreeClip 2S on without realizing it, because I forgot to take them off. Luckily, they're resistant to dust and water, but as you can see, being. These images are amazing, just like the case, which is completely redesigned and can reflect the dome of that cathedral. It really looks like a jewel, something luxurious. However, the most negative point about this design is that fingerprints stick easily. Also, there's now more space, I think about 20% more compared to the previous generation. There you can see the USB Type-C port. It also has an LED, and notice that the opening is diagonal. It could easily hold a wedding ring, but actually what it contains are the most comfortable earbuds that I've tried on this channel in this wireless format, and also with really good sound. But I'll talk to you in more detail about that in the audio section. You can see that I love making videos that are very different from what you see on any other YouTube channel. And I just love combining the most beautiful nature with the most innovative technology. At this point with Huawei, as you can see, these are the Huawei FreeClip 2S Open. They come in two colors. Besides this one, there's also a blue one. The magnetic hold is very good, both in the case and the earbuds, so they won't fall out easily. As you can see, the main update is the small rubber part in the middle, now made of liquid silicone. Now it's 25% softer, and also each earbud weighs only 5.1 grams. It's not just the earbud and its lightweight, but also the design and ergonomics. When you put it in any ear, honestly, it feels like you're not wearing anything at all, and I'm not exaggerating. It's now much easier to put them in the case. I think this is an improvement over the previous generation. And you can see here what I was telling you about. It has a certain grip, it feels smooth, and also, as I mentioned in the previous video about the Huawei FreeClip 2, these are materials that are skin friendly. Honestly, that's something I really appreciate. And now you can see them on, and they feel extremely lightweight. I think this shot you're seeing now really represents this point well. The lightness, the fact that you don't feel anything at all when you put them on. Every millimeter of these headphones is designed precisely for this. I think that's their main goal, their top priority. Comfort is the top priority, and I think they've achieved it. And be aware, it has downsides too, which I'll explain, including how easily the case gets covered in fingerprints. But give credit where credit is due. If you're looking for headphones that make you forget you're even wearing them, and the design also looks pretty good on your ear, Huawei has really nailed it with these new FreeClip 2S. And one of the things I also like is its battery, despite how lightweight it is. In fact, we're talking about a battery that's bigger than, for example, the Apple AirPods 4. That is, you get 9 hours of battery life in the earbuds and up to 38 hours if you use the case. By the way, the battery capacity is 537 mAh, and the earbuds themselves have a capacity of 60 mAh. 9 hours of uninterrupted music is actually pretty good, and it's above the average of its closest competitors. And as you can see, it's time to pair them. It doesn't matter if it's Android or iOS. It's going to pair without any problem and pretty quickly. And this is something I like. Look, the first thing that pops up is an update. Huawei is a company that usually doesn't abandon its devices and is always refining and improving certain aspects through updates. Something else I like, Once you've downloaded this app where you can get the most out of these Huawei Free Clip 2S, several tutorials appear showing you with videos and images the correct way to wear them and how to make the most of them. And you can already see all the improvements. Software improvements such as unlimited spatial audio, plus you can configure it however you want with a fixed position or with head tracking. And you also have several sound effects, or you can directly set the equalizer yourself and customize it. But above all, the gestures, when it comes to pressing, the entire earbud is pressable. Absolutely everything, both spheres and even the rubber that connects them. You can double tap, triple tap, swipe. It's absolutely configurable, both the left and the right one. And if you swipe, you can lower or raise the volume. However, I'd only use this option on the larger area, the one that looks kind of like a bean. And also, if you hold it down, you can call Siri or Gemini, which is also a pretty useful feature. This is Huawei Free Clip 2S. And something else that I think has improved is the taps. There are fewer touch errors, or at least that's how it feels to me, slightly improved compared to the previous version. And when you tap either twice or 3 times or swipe, let's say it responds more accurately. The good thing about having so many gestures, or being able to swipe and deactivate them, is that you have the possibility to customize absolutely everything. That is, if you come from headphones that only had gestures to go back and forward, to pause or to raise the volume, you can deactivate the rest. And in that way, the switch between one pair of headphones and another becomes easier, and the learning curve is shorter. Also, they have smart wear detection. And, for example, they also have drop detection. Or if you drop them, you can find them easily. If, for example, they fall into the gap in the sofa, well, you'll be able to find them. They have multi-point connection, low latency option, and you can also turn the sound on or off when opening or closing the case. But pay close attention to this. It's something I didn't expect. Not only does it now support wireless charging, but it's also magnetic. That means you can put it, for example, on your fridge or on anything that's magnetic. And honestly, it's something I hadn't seen before in any other earphones. And before I talk to you about the sound of these Huawei Free Clip 2S, let's do a durability test. As I mentioned at the beginning, it has IP57 certification for dust and water resistance. This means that, for example, if it rains or if you sweat, like if you use them for running or at the gym, you won't have any problems. They won't get damaged. But these small details are what make the difference, and even though it's slightly wet, you can see that the controls work quite well. The controller doesn't go crazy. Therefore, if you're going to take them to the beach, the pool, or some unusual place with a lot of condensation like a sauna, you won't have any problems with these Huawei Free Clip 2S. And now, let's talk about the sound. At this point, it's very similar to what I heard in the previous version. In the Huawei Free Clip 2, you could say I haven't noticed any differences. However, what I have noticed is more comfort, especially regarding the materials. And where it changes the most is in the case. They're incredibly versatile. In other words, they're good for everything. For listening to music, watching a series, or playing a game, honestly, they do everything pretty well, just like the previous generation or generations. Compatible with the HD L2HC audio codec. It has 2 microphones for call noise cancellation. They feature 10.8mm dual diaphragm drivers, and while it's true that they don't stand out in any frequency, not in bass, mids, or highs, if I had to choose, I'd go with the mids. Despite being open earbuds, they sound remarkably good. And now, let's talk about the price of these Huawei Free Clip 2S. You can see it right now. 229 euros, but for now, there's a 30 euro discount coupon. So, 199 euros for these Huawei Free Clip 2S. As you can see, they're available in 2 colors, blue and this silver one. And if I had to sum up this whole video in one word, without a doubt, it would be comfort. And mind you, because I haven't forgotten about the negative points. And it's not just about these wireless earbuds, but about all of them in general. There are 3 negative points regarding wireless earbuds. The first is their planned obsolescence. It's pure physics. They have small batteries that will degrade over time. The second point would be the issue of having to charge them. It's true that these Free Clip 2S last a long time and you don't have to worry. But in the end, it's much more carefree to have passive headphones that never need to be recharged. And finally, the third negative point is that the music quality will always be inferior to wired headphones. Even so, if you buy wireless headphones, you already know what you're paying for. And in this sense, the lightness, the amazing design that Huawei has achieved with these headphones, especially the fact that you feel like you're not wearing anything, can only be achieved wirelessly. That said, I'm going to leave all the purchase links and the discount coupon below in the video description. If you like my unique way of communicating that combines technology and nature, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a like so I can keep filming in these landscapes with headphones, smartphones, tablets, and all kinds of technology here on your channel Test to Do. And now see you in the next video. Greetings and see you soon.